Good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm so glad that you are joining me this morning for Wow Time Wisdom on Wednesday as we continue our study through the book of Proverbs. How are you doing this morning? I hope and pray that you are doing well. Guess what? We start in chapter 15 today, so that means that we are so close to halfway through the book of Proverbs. I hope that you are enjoying the study. I know that I am. There's so much that we can gain from the book of Proverbs, a lot of wisdom for us to ingest here and hopefully to place in our hearts. So grab a Bible. Like I said, we are in chapter 15 this morning. We're going to start in verse 1. We're going to do about 4 verses this morning. So get ready. Here we go. Verse 1 of chapter 15, it says this: "A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Whew. A lot of wisdom in this first proverb, and I think that it's a proverb that we can relate to no matter who we are, no matter where we are on this earth. We understand this proverb. What happens when somebody gets in your face? Okay, I imagine, if you will, I've never served in the military, but I've heard stories of drill sergeants that get right in the face of the cadets, and they're yelling, and they're screaming, and maybe they're calling them names and saying, "You're worthless." What does that do to a person? Well, for some people, it makes them shut down. But for other people, it stirs up anger. It just makes them want to go, "I'm about to come at you the same way that you are coming to me." But notice what Solomon says. He says, "A soft answer turns away wrath." I think of it this way. When in a tense situation, you can tell that someone is about to blow up. A soft answer, a soft response to that person is like cool water to the situation. Okay, not cool water like a fire hose and everything just comes out at once. Okay, that might make the situation worse, right? But a soft answer brings that cooling down to maybe where things don't get so intense, where things don't blow up on us. But notice, he says, "But a harsh word stirs up anger." And so no matter what situation you're in, if someone comes with a harsh word, and with a word that is not gentle, a word that is not loving, a word that is not uplifting, a word that is not kind, a word that is not good, it's just like pouring gasoline upon a fire, right? And then what does the person that they have poured that gasoline upon, how do they respond? Well, they can either pour cool water on it, or they can come back with even more power as well. And pretty soon, maybe even those that are standing around this situation that weren't really involved in it in the first place, maybe they are suffering from it as well. So, of course, for the Christian, the point is to use soft words, if you will, especially in tense situations. Okay, think about what Jesus would do. How would Jesus respond to a situation? How would Jesus respond to a person that is coming at you with harsh words and with anger? A soft answer goes a long ways and can do much good. I think of it this way. I was about to say when I was living in Lubbock, Texas, but there's been a few times that I've lived in Lubbock as a child, and then in college, and then even after college as well. But this would have been after college, and I was working in the school system as a long-term sub on the east side of Lubbock. And I can remember that there were 2 teachers in particular that had 2 different styles of teaching and 2 different ways about getting kids to do what they needed to do. Okay? One was a 5th grade teacher, and her classroom was right next to mine. I was a long-term sub for the science teacher, so every kid in the school I got to see, which was great. I loved it. It was wonderful. It was constantly changing and always had a new group of kids just about every other hour. But she was right next door to me, and her style of dealing with her kids was yelling. And there were times that the walls in my classroom would shake from her yelling. And when her kids would come into my class, you could tell on their faces what kind of day they have already had, whether they've been yelled at or had not, just by the way that they have walked in. And they were used to being treated that way. I also had a kindergarten teacher in that school, and I never saw that kindergarten teacher raise her voice, not even once. On the contrary, especially in my classroom, the way that she would deal with kids, if she wanted this kid over here that maybe wasn't quite following instructions and doing what they were supposed to be doing, she would praise this kid over here who was. Okay? Oh, look at Johnny over here doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing, using the exact amount of glue that he needs to be doing, just like we talked about. You know, a dot is a lot. That a lot of wisdom in that saying right there. Okay, and more times than not, you would notice that this kid over here that wasn't doing what they were supposed to be doing, they wanted that praise. And so then they would try to be like Johnny over here and do as they were supposed to. And it was amazing to see, and I really learned a lot just watching that teacher. And so I think it goes back to this proverb: a soft answer turns away wrath. A soft answer can really do a lot of good. On the contrary, but a harsh word stirs up anger. That harsh word is something that just causes violence. It just causes injury. There's rarely any good that comes from it. And Proverbs is not the only place that speaks about the power of the tongue. Okay? Go to what I've heard referred to as before, the Proverbs of the New Testament, to the book of James, and we can see that as well. Okay, let's move on to the second verse. It's an interesting verse as well. It says, "The tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly." My understanding of this word commends in the Hebrew gives the idea of dripping. Okay, Stan Mitchell says in his book on Proverbs that it might be like honey coming out of the comb. Okay, it's not flowing out, it's not pouring out, but it's dripping out. Right? Can you see the picture here? And so the tongue of the wise drips knowledge. Okay, it's oozing out, and oh, it tastes so good, and you just want more and more of it, right? But the mouths of fool pour out folly. Remember I talked about that fire hose before? This is what I picture with this verse. But the mouths of the fools pour out folly. It's like they want the whole world to share in their folly, their foolishness. And so what do? It doesn't come out slow and dripping. No, it's full force. And it's coming at you. And too much. Stop it, turn it off. Okay, and many times it can cause injury because of it. So the tongue of the wise commends knowledge, but the mouths of fools pour out folly. Look at verse 3. A very true verse, and something I think sometimes I think people forget about it, even people of God. It says, "The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and good." You ever wonder what God does all day? I mean, how does God spend his time? Part of that is watching. Part of that is watching us. Whether we are good, whether we are bad. And foolishly, I think sometimes as humans, both those that believe in God and those that don't think that maybe we can hide from God. Okay, maybe God won't see me here. Maybe God won't notice me doing this. Okay, I think about Jonah in this situation, right? God calls him to go to Nineveh, and where does he go? He goes a total opposite direction. It's almost like in his head, he's like, well, God won't notice if I'm on the other side of the world at that time. If I'm nowhere close to Nineveh, maybe God will just be like, I don't know, remember Adam and Eve in the garden after they sinned? What were they doing? They were hiding from God. Why? Because they had sinned. They didn't want to be around God. They didn't want God to know what they had done. But yet, God sees all. God knows all. God is everywhere. So the eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch on the evil and the good. And so I think for us that can be a good thing, especially. We know that there's no place that we could ever go where God is not watching. It doesn't matter whether we are in Panhandle, Texas, or if we are in New York City. It doesn't matter if we're in Afghanistan or if we're in Zimbabwe. It doesn't matter if we are in Ireland or if we are in Russia. The eyes of the Lord will be on us. Let's take it a step further. Are the eyes of the Lord, would he be upon us if we were on the moon? Yeah. What if we were on Mars? Yep, there too. What about Pluto? There too. What if we were in the next neighboring galaxy? Yeah, God's eyes are there. What if we are 100 galaxies away? Yep, we know that the eyes of the Lord would be there as well. And that should bring us comfort. That should bring us a lot of peace, knowing that God cares for us that much. All right, last verse of the day. Notice what it says. A gentle tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it breaks the spirit. I want to reference Brother Stan Mitchell again in his book. He talks about with this proverb that in many African languages, the word for tree is the same word for medicine. And if you know anything about medicine, you know that a lot of medicines that we have come from trees, right? And that's why, scientists, whenever the forests are being destroyed, especially maybe the rainforest, that maybe there's a lot of potential for medicines that are just going up in smoke there, that are just being destroyed. And there's so much that's in there that would help us as a people as far as medicines go. But notice, a gentle tongue is a tree of life. Have you ever heard someone give you encouragement? And wow, it's just like medicine to the soul. It brings healing. It just makes you feel good. You might notice at the top of my head right about here, there's some cards that I keep above my bookshelf here, and these are different cards that maybe people have sent me through the years of just encouraging words, and that I appreciate, that make me feel good. It's medicine to my soul. But notice the last part of that proverb. But perverseness in it breaks the spirit. Okay, let's see how the Message translates this verse. The Message says this in verse 4. Kind words heal and help. Cutting words wound and maim. Okay, and we know that's true. We know that words can hurt. And we know that whenever we speak, we have the chance either to bring healing and encouragement to someone, or we have the ability to cut them down and to bring pain and to bring hurt to someone. And that includes our words on Facebook. That includes our words on Twitter, Instagram, text, whatever you use. We have the power to either bring good or to bring evil to each person that encounters our words, whether spoken or whether in text. How are we going to use those words? How are we going to use that power today? I hope and pray that you use them for good. I hope and pray that you use them the way that Jesus would use them, with love and with kindness, speaking the truth. Hope and pray that you have a great day. Enjoy the day. I know many places where you are probably, it's going to be a hot one. So find a place to stay cool, be in the Word of God. Choose your words wisely. Use your words to heal somebody today. Use your words to encourage somebody today. God willing, be back with you next week. Until then, may the Lord bless you. Remember that He loves you, and so do I. God bless everybody.